Hey guys, what is going on? You are checking out an all new The RCWR show. We're coming at you for Wednesday night of January the 8th, 2020. What's going on, guys? We are covering AEW and NXT Fallout. Now, for those of you that's checking out the webcast version of this show, do not be fooled by the graphic that you're seeing. We are going to be talking about AEW as well. I sadly did not get an opportunity. I thought I had the AEW and the NXT logos in my webcast template, and it looks like that's actually something I got to go back and make. So next Wednesday, we'll have all that corrected. So please, for those of you, especially you newer guys, not familiar with how we do the shows on Wednesdays, we do cover AEW on top of NXT along with some other headlines. So you're definitely in the right place, as NXT is not the only thing we're going to be talking about on here. Audio, man, you guys that check out the show on demand and on the downloads, you already know what you guys are getting, so you guys are good to go. But man, this was actually pretty exciting. I got to tell you, what even made it more a bit of hey is the fact that I actually had missed last week's AEW, and I know NXT did an award special, and then if they did something prior to that, maybe a greatest of what happened with NXT for the calendar year, I probably missed that as well. I know I probably missed that as well if they did it, but I do know for a fact they did the year-end awards, and I definitely had missed that. So it was nice, to my point, kick back and not see these shows. And it makes me come back to have even more of a fresh perspective since last I had saw what was going on with them and everything. So I gotta tell you, both shows this week was relatively strong, and I know some people want to look at things from a marketing standpoint as far as what WWE was doing, which was, hey, WWE is doing their Dusty Rhodes Classics once again. And not for nothing, but they did give us a heads up that they were doing this, if not 2 weeks ago. It kind of feels like it might have been even 3 weeks or more than that, but I'll just say 3 weeks for now. And you got folks that's looking at that, and then you see what AEW is doing as far as, okay, well, AEW, on top of having their 1 year anniversary since the formation, right, of AEW and everything had got the ball rolling and everything, they decided that, okay, we also want to take a little bit of acknowledgement from wrestling from yesteryear, and we want to recognize Memphis wrestling, and they're recognizing some of the great legends that's helped Memphis wrestling throughout the way. The Rock and Roll Express, Lanny Poffo, I mean, so many great names. I mean, we'd be here all night just going through all of those names, and I can't wait to see what they're going to be able to do, because it looks like there's going to be an episode of AEW Dark that's going to really be heavy on acknowledging the Memphis wrestling legends and everything. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll tell you this much. I hope that as a little bit of a surprise, and I don't know, maybe Jim Cornette can shed a little bit of light on it later on this week on his respective show. I'm curious if Jim Cornette is part of that, or was it maybe a case where AEW decided, you know what, with all of that controversy that's going on with Corny right now, let's kind of let that cool down a little bit more, and then maybe down the road. But then again, remember, he doesn't have any allies there in AEW, at least when it comes as far as the Young Bucks. So it's a little bit, but I'm still a little bit curious if maybe somebody in AEW maybe had reached out to him to see if he might have been interested in something like that. Even though he had said on the show a few weeks ago, he's done making appearances and all that other stuff, so I'm curious. I'm sure he'll probably elaborate on it a little bit more later on in the week, but I'm most curious. But yeah, you see what AEW is doing with their whole Memphis acknowledgement and everything, and of course, it's not really Memphis without Jerry Lawler, and as we all know, Jerry Lawler is doing his thing in the WWE, so it's not truly acknowledging the Memphis greats unless you're able to acknowledge someone like a Jerry Lawler as well, I can't help but wonder. And if I could make some type of a bold prediction, I kind of feel as though maybe, just maybe, what'll end up happening is I wouldn't be surprised if AEW did try to reach out to Jerry Lawler, because remember, he still owns the rights and everything, the catalog, all of that to Memphis Wrestling. So I'm wondering if AEW may try to reach out to Jerry Lawler. Hey, look, this is what we're doing. And we would like it if we could make some type of an arrangement with you where maybe we can show some still shots of you back in your prime, you back in your Memphis days, and we can acknowledge, that part of the history, because obviously you think of Memphis Wrestling, you think of Jerry Lawler. But then even at that, even if it's a case where you're just showing still images and you kind of want to acknowledge Jerry Lawler and everything. I was thinking Jim because Jim did acknowledge Jerry tonight. It was kind of quirky the way that he acknowledged him. But even at that, if you were able to just get a hold of some still images, that still, I would think, would be enough of a wrinkle in WWE for them to say, Jerry, what the hell, man? Like, seriously, we're buttering your bread over here. Like, what the fuck? So it's an interesting dilemma that's going on. I really wouldn't be that surprised either. Just put another prediction out there. I wouldn't be that surprised if on Jerry Lawler's next podcast, if maybe he even acknowledges that somebody in AEW had tried to reach out to him, let him know about this whole Memphis thing that they were doing and everything, and how he declined it because he didn't want to get into a sticky situation with the WWE. I really wouldn't be surprised, but I really hope that when we get ready to see how this Memphis acknowledgement goes down next week, I hope that the fans are going to be very, cordial is the word I'm thinking of. I really hope they are. I hope it's not going to be a case where it's awkward silence, that dead silence because they don't know any of these people. And I would like to believe that with what they're doing in Memphis, and normally I wouldn't trip. If there was any other promotion, I normally wouldn't even trip. But with AEW, and you're looking at the age demographics, and you see some of the people on social media, their engagements and all that, and you see the type of fans that they are, and I challenge anybody else, you don't want to take my word for it, just educate yourself. Majority of the AEW fans, all they do is eat, sleep, and breathe AEW, and there really is no acknowledgement of the wrestling from yesteryear based on their activity and what all they talk about and everything. So yeah, looks can be a little bit deceiving, but you get the point that I'm making. So I don't know. I don't know. I really hope that they are more than just cordial. I hope that they are very energetic and they're into a lot of these wrestling legends that's going to be popping up on there. But that's next week. But we did get a little bit of a tease of that for AEW. AEW, by the way, we got welcomed by our usual commentators. We had got Excalibur. We had got Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, but we had somebody else that was a special guest, at least for the first segment, the first match. And it was Memphis legend Dave Brown. And for those of you that don't know anything about Dave Brown, look, I'm not going to come on here and I'm an expert and I'm not doing that shit. You guys know me by now. You should know me by now to the point. If I don't know something, I have no problem acknowledging it. But I will always do my research to know, okay, who's who. Now, I sadly did not follow the career of Dave Brown as a color commentator. However, his name was one I did hear from time to time, but not enough to the point that I physically was able to go out of my way and check out his stuff. It just wasn't a case like that at all. And sadly, one of the other reasons why I recognize his name was because back in the late 90s, his daughter was tragically involved in a automobile accident that took her life. And as a result of that, his whole world as he knew it, he's crushed. And he pretty much had led a one-man campaign to have stricter, driving laws be set forth and everything. And it's an interesting story when you go back and you research it. Just how those of you that are familiar with John Walsh from America's Most Wanted and all that, just how you understand the origins of how that series had came about and how it was his one man, against the entire world, against the system, how he led that one man campaign for justice. Essentially, that is what Dave Brown had did when his daughter had passed away, right? But for those of you that don't know anything about Dave Brown, he's a legendary broadcaster, not just from a wrestling standpoint, but he's a very respected meteorologist as well. But as far as his Memphis wrestling career goes, that connection and everything, he pretty much, we're talking the late 1960s, I want to say 67 until about 2002. Yeah, that's how long of a run he's had as a wrestling color commentator. He co-hosted Memphis wrestling television programs, the Memphis wrestling television program and its predecessor, Championship Wrestling, for the Continental Wrestling Association. And he did that good majority, 25 years, with Lance Russell. I know you guys that know your old school wrestling, I know you guys know about Lance Russell, right? And that was something that Jim Ross kept saying repeatedly during that first segment, at least 3 to 4 times, how he wishes that Lance Russell was right there with Dave Brown. That would have made it even more cooler and everything. But that gives you a little bit of a background as far as Dave Brown, what he's been about and everything. But yeah, if I remember that automobile accident right, it was the death of his daughter, the death of his granddaughter, and unborn grandson. All of that was due to a drunk driver. So that's the one thing that I do remember from, back in the late 90s there with regards to that. But Dave Brown, he really didn't do that much talking, but the little bit that he did put out there, it was okay. That was pretty cool, right? A lot better than some of the other people that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. I think the State Farm guy comes to mind. Anybody remember how pissed off I was at the State Farm guy? Speaking of the first match, we saw Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. They took on, what are these guys? I always forget their name because I don't get to see them that much. It's now sporadic. Primetime Party? I think that's their name. Whatever their name is. Yeah, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just, all these different tag teams, Crime Time, and then you've got We Want the Smoke, right? Primetime Players and Street Profits and Primetime Party and Party This and Congo Line and all. You get mixed up after a while. But that was actually a really good opener. If I had any bit of criticism with regards to this tag match, I would say it's this. I didn't like the fact that Primetime Party went as long as they did in this tag match. That's probably the one thing that I frowned upon a little bit, because for me, now look, I'm not saying that this match needed to be a squash match. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. So please, guys, don't take it that way. What I'm saying is I was expecting for it to be a case where, okay, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, it shouldn't be this difficult for you guys to get a W over these guys. Like it really should not be that difficult for you whatsoever. And let me take a quick pause here. Are you guys able to hear me pretty good? Because I'm monitoring what is being recorded right now, and it looks like it's coming in relatively low, what I'm recording. I started to reboot the computer, but I did not get a chance to do that because I normally like to do that, but my volume's coming in a little bit low, what I'm seeing being recorded. If it sounds pretty good to you guys, let me know. Just leave a comment. I'd appreciate that. But anyway, yeah, that was my one criticism, was that, this match seemed to have gone a bit too long, and I'm just thinking about when Hangman Page had took on Chris Jericho, and then I'm thinking about Kenny Omega and the feud that he was in there with Jericho as well in his respected time, and when he was feuding with Pac and everything, and yeah, I'm just thinking of those feuds particularly, and I'm going, man, so if it's this difficult for Heyman Page and Kenny Omega to get out of this win against this tag team, is that much of a challenge, then what the hell is possibly going to happen when we see them eventually break out into singles runs against some of those names I had mentioned, or maybe even against a Moxley, right? Or a Jack Hager, right? Or they face those two respected guys in a tag team, or a combination of maybe the Rhodes brothers or something along those lines. Is it going to be that challenging as well, or is it going to be a case where you don't understand what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that I didn't like. Now, was it justified? A little bit. A little bit it was justified. I would say it was justified. And I got guys saying, okay, all right, so you guys, thank you, Austin and Gino. So you guys actually are able to hear me fine. Okay, that's great. And how's the sound, by the way? I told you guys I've been playing around with the sound the past couple of days. And you guys should notice it should sound a lot more bassier and all that good jazz here. That's the power of that new mixer there from what I was talking about on Monday night. If you're a Patreon member, we did an exclusive unboxing and unveiling of the mixer. There was some really nice side chatter as well. Also gave you guys a tour of the studio and all that, some good shit. Check it out. But yeah, it was justified because you saw a lot of miscommunication that continued on for Kenny Omega and Page. Because remember the last time that we saw these guys involved in a tag team match, there was serious miscommunication there. And you're like, wow, well, you see a little bit of potential from these guys as a tag team, but are they going to be able to really stay as a cohesive unit, or is the miscommunications there going to be a little bit too much for them? And there was more than one miscommunication for me in this one. And to the point, I remember one point, I couldn't help but go, damn, what is this? Miscommunication number 4? Miscommunication number 5? That they're butting heads once again? When is one of these guys going to have a hot temperament and take their anger out on the other person, and then maybe that's how Primetime Party gets in there and gets the W that way? But it actually didn't pan out that way. However, we did see those guys take advantage each time there was a little bit of miscommunication. But yeah, there was it just got to that point for me personally. I just couldn't help but go, okay, we're spamming that out a little bit too much. But the overall story that they were telling, it made me appreciate and respect Omega and Page even more as a tag team, to the point I couldn't help but really get behind the idea of them as a permanent tag team, because their I was about to say their X division, Lord forgive me, their tag division is really lacking right now, in my personal opinion. It's really, really lacking right now. So hopefully this is something that is not just filling up a TV slot, and it's actually something where it's further down the road, we can legitimately see these guys be AEW tag team contenders. I don't know how you guys feel. Some of you guys may be like, nah, man, I don't want to see those guys delegated to that. But at this point, it feels kind of obvious that for the time being, at least not for the next 3 to 5 months, will Omega and Page be chasing after the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So, if the direction that is probably going to be next for them right now is tag team champions, I'm actually okay with that. I think after you watch this match, for those of you that didn't get a chance to watch Dynamite, after you see this, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, they clicked so well, even though you kept seeing the miscommunications there, which was purposely, as we all know, it was purposely added in there to make it seem as though this could cause friction among the guys and everything. But man, great chemistry. I mean, when they were on the same page, I've been watching them for years as a tag team. So good stuff. The celebration wouldn't last long after Omega and Page came out with the W, as Pac was seen on the Titantron choking out somebody else. I believe he was choking out QT Marshall. And I only say QT Marshall because of what was set up for programming for next week and 2 weeks from now with regards to AEW, which we'll talk about in a hot second. But we saw Pac, he was choking out somebody, the officials trying to do their best to get Pac off of this cat. I'm going to say it was QT Marshall. And Pac said, "Hey, Paige, you and me, brother, we aren't done, not by a long shot. No, you'll still owe me my rubber band match." You know, he was still just pretty hell-bent there and vowing to not stop. So how far is he going to take this, right? I don't know. Doesn't Omega have a girlfriend or something in AEW there? Because I'm pretty sure push come to shove. I'm just saying, if you really want to push that envelope a little bit, if that's what it's going to take for Omega to finally say, "Damn it, I'll give you what you want," I think that's what you need to do, because so far we're in this position where Omega still has not given Pac what he's wanted. So my thinking is, okay, well, how far do we take this? When is enough where Omega puts his foot down and says, no more. You know, you're going to take it to this freaking extreme. I'll give you your damn match already, right? And here's the other element that I like about this too, with regards to Omega and Pac, which is this. We heard the commentators talking about how Omega at one point a few weeks ago, he was going to try to take it easy, take a couple of weeks off, recharge his batteries a little bit, because he hasn't been liking, you know, the funk that's been happening with him over the past couple of months. But just when it seems like maybe he's getting ready to do that, you know, somehow things change and, you know, he is still at it and everything. So to see where he is right now, and he has not given Pac that rematch, you can't help but go, all right, well, is Omega potentially scared here? What's going on? We've got Tony Schiavone always running out after a Cody Rhodes match. We need to be seeing, if not a Schiavone, then somebody else post-match. Hey, past couple of weeks now, keep the consistency going, AEW. Hey, Omega, we've seen Pac the past couple of weeks choke out certain people. We saw what he did to your good friend Michael Nakazawa, and last week we saw what he did with QT Marshall, and it seems like he is not letting up. He is hell-bent on you giving him that one more match, right? So apparently Pac was choking out Michael Nakazawa once again. Again, he was choking him out? Like, it would have made more sense if he was choking out QT Marshall, because when you look at the card, I got Gino in the chat telling me that it was freaking Michael Nakazawa once again, which is weird, because when you look at the graphics for one of the matches next week, they've got QT Marshall in there, and you're going, I don't quite understand the connection. Maybe as we go further into talking about the results, maybe it'll make a little bit of sense. I don't know. But now I'm even more, I can't wait to talk later about some of the rest of the card there. But yeah, you can't help but wonder, okay, well, if you're not going to have a Tony Schiavone or Alex Marvez or anybody else jump out there and get that interview with Omega, you know, why haven't you given Pac the rematch yet? You know, what is going on here? Then what? You know, what is it going to take until we get to that point? And Rio really jumps out to mind right now, because there's been a couple of instances so far in AEW where Kenny Omega has came to the aid of Rio. Obviously, there's a connection there, right? So we don't need to go over that connection, right? They've acknowledged it before, so Google it, bitches. That's all I got to say. But if you want to kind of tease a little something there, you could always maybe tease that Pac is possibly going to do some serious harm to Rio, and that pushes Kenny Omega over the edge and caves in to giving Pac what he wants. So if you're not even going to go in that direction, then I don't understand this whole point in this cat and mouse game, because the one element that's missing right now is Omega explaining why he has not given this rubber band match just yet. So, but more on that later on. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep rocking and rolling because we got loads more to talk about here. We're doing pretty good on Showtime so far. Not that I'm in a rush with regards to Showtime, but I do want to kind of quickly get through as much as I can because we got a whole other show to talk about. So look, the ranking system. This was something that everybody was talking about here. Everybody was going, yeah, the rankings, it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. We hear AEW, they say, well, we're going to reset everything. Everything is going to reset beginning of the new calendar year. And you're going, okay, so everything's resetting, right? And then you hear the other report, we're just going to be done with the rankings. We're going to throw it out the window. You're going, okay, all right, cool. But then we finally see what AEW is doing. And it's so convenient I'm mentioning this because I've been watching Jeopardy, greatest of all time. I don't know how many of you guys were ever Jeopardy fans. And if you didn't know, now you know. But all this week in prime time, they are bringing back 3 of the all-time greatest Jeopardy winners in history. Ken, James, and Brad. Those guys. They brought those 3 guys back, and they basically are playing for a shot at $1 million, right? And it's cool because after, one episode is over, basically when they go into Final Jeopardy, whatever their total is for that day, it does carry over with them, right? That's basically how it goes. But then when they go into the next episode, as you know, Jeopardy has got 3 rounds, right? And then you got Final Jeopardy. Okay, so after the initial 3 rounds, you go into Final Jeopardy. Okay, that's it for that episode. Now we go to the next one. Everything resets, but you see what they had tallied up from the previous episode. So I'm looking at what they're doing there with AEW with the rankings now, and basically it's 2020, you see what they're doing, but then you see their overall record and you're going, okay, cool. Take, for instance, we had our AEW women's title match. We had Chris Statlander, who so far, overall career, she's 3-2. And Rio, meanwhile, hang on here. Rio, meanwhile, she is 1-0 to kick off 2020, but her overall record is 9-2. You heard me right. Her overall record is 9-2. So you're kind of going, okay, so it reset, but we still get an idea of what's going on with the overall record. Okay, whatever. All right, we see AEW is trying. Okay, fine. This women's title match, this was another one that honestly, and thank God for, or in this case, the writers, the bookers, that they had a lot of interference in this matchup, because for me, I just could not get into Chris Statlander taking on Rio. I had a hard time picturing this 80-pound little thing that is supposedly kicking the living shit out of a woman that's got to weigh at least 180 to 184 pounds. At least. I mean, you look at Chris Statlander compared to Rio, and Chris Statlander looks like a goddamn powerhouse. And you're going, wow, like, seriously? We're selling freaking arm takedowns? We're selling head scissor, her Karanas? We're selling all of that shit? Like, really? I didn't like this. I didn't like it whatsoever. And I was actually glad to see Brandy, also Melanie Cruz, and Awesome Kong, known as the Nightmare Collective. I was happy to actually see their interference in this one. Closing moments of this one, Rio actually had retained her title with a little bit of help from Awesome Kong. And Rio knew that Kong had interfered, because it looked as though we were about to get a new champion, but Kong I mean, while the referee wasn't looking, making all the difference in the world with a little bit of a push that pretty much had rocked up the pin in Rio's favor to just barely once again escape with that AEW women's title. This was after we had saw Melanie Cruz and Kong interfere while the ref wasn't looking. Chris Statlander getting the one up in between the ropes, trying to even up the odds a little bit. So referee just allowing all of this stuff to go down, never throwing out this match or ejecting any of these people. Crazy shit that was going on. At one point, Brandy, who was at commentating, and I gotta tell you, Brandy was pretty witty tonight. I actually enjoyed her work at commentating. She laid heavy into Excalibur and his mask, because it was funny how they set it up. Shivani and crew, they actually asked Brandy, hey, what's going on with you collecting hair? We've been seeing you collect women's hair off and on the past couple of weeks. What's going on with that? And Brandy goes, well, what is going on with Excalibur and the mask that he's wearing? Why is Excalibur always wearing a mask? Answer that. He's not wrestling. What's going on with that? And Excalibur rebuttal, well, as everybody knows, I was a wrestler for a couple of decades, and I always wrestled in Mexican. It's a lucha libre heritage type of deal. That's why I always wear this mask. And Brandy's saying, I bet you look hideous under that thing. Do you bathe with that mask on? Do you go to sleep with that on? It was really witty how she went in there. The timing was just perfect. It may sound kind of generic, but when you go in and you watch how she was just playing off of Excalibur in real time, it was actually hilarious as shit. But yeah, we saw her eventually get in the face of Chris Statlander, because remember, she's been wanting to recruit Statlander for the past couple of weeks, and Statlander's been, no, honey, not interested. So once again, we see the two of them. They have a stare down. Looks like it's about to be a throwdown. Statlander actually gives Brandy an opportunity to get the first free shot, smacking her or hitting her in the face. And Brandy isn't budging just yet, but just when it looks like Brandy is about to take a swing, Statlander grabs her arm, but then we see somebody come from under the apron. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had saw that there's this big, massive looking white guy. Remember, I said to you guys, well, shit, is it maybe PCO? What's going on there? Kind of looks like it might be PCO. And I told you guys, I said, don't quote me on that, because everything that's currently going on with him and ROH, he seems to be in a pretty good spot with the company and everything, but shit, sure does kind of have that same build and everything. And we would learn who that was. It was Luther. And I didn't appreciate the fact that the color commentators just kept saying, especially Excalibur, oh, I think that's Luther. That guy looks like Luther. And it's like, okay, I get that, right? But you need to dial it back a little bit. And you need to explain why you think it's Luther, but most importantly to those watching at home, who is Luther? That's the number one question. Who is Luther? And no, I'm not talking about Luther Reigns. Let's not go in that direction. Luther, otherwise known as Dr. Luther, he is a legendary wrestler for you old school wrestling fans. He was also known as Lenny St. Clair, Atomic Punk, Mag Superbat, Mad Jack. And this is somebody that wrestled for a few different promotions, man. He mainly wrestled up in Canada, held the tag team titles over there. He was a CWC tag champion. Did some stuff in Calgary, a lot of stuff in Calgary, a lot of stuff in Canada, did some stuff in Japan, NWA, WCCW. Him and Chris Jericho, they go way back. These guys got mad history together. And if some of those promotions for you veteran wrestling fans sound a little bit familiar, it kind of rings a bell. Now you kind of are able to place the face with where you might have seen him before. Just picture him with a little bit more hair and, You know, picture some of those gimmicks there that he used to have. One gimmick that'll probably jump out to you. There was one where he was running around with a Mephisto looking cape, right? Uh, who's the other Mr. Sinister from X-Men? You know, he's kind of pushing one of those type of capes. Had the little ruby thing in the middle of his head. Very gothic vampire-ish look that he had going on. That's just one of the versions that I remember of him and everything. But he definitely looked like a vampire, Satan type of character and everything like that. This is somebody I'm not going to put a front to you guys. I told you guys a few seconds ago, if I don't know of something, I gladly will admit it, because honesty is the best policy as far as I'm concerned. Last thing you want to be doing is misleading listeners and fans. That's the last thing, because when you try to act like you know something, people will be able to call you out on your bullshit. So I'm not coming at you guys with any bullshit. This is somebody that, honestly, when I looked up his bio, I had no fucking clue about this guy. Now, it'd be one thing if, oh, well, I never really followed this person's career, but I did see them sporadically on my TV. I could put money down and I could tell you I never even seen this guy on my TV. So I definitely don't know anything about this guy. But to help you guys out, connect the dots, now you kind of know a little bit of the backstory. And then let me also explain this. Why, you know, I know some people may look at this and may say, wow, this is just so fucking random. Not so fast. Pump the brakes a little bit. I just told you guys about his career in Canada. And come on now, Chris Jericho, also from Canada. And to this point, something that a lot of you guys probably do not know, which is Dr. Luther and Chris Jericho are the best of friends. The best of friends. How much so? Well, Dr. Luther was actually the best man for Chris Jericho's wedding. So I honestly would not be surprised, because he's been retired for a couple of years now and everything. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Jericho had hit him up and everything, and one conversation led to another, and that's how he got involved in AEW and everything. So it makes a lot of sense when you really stop and think about it and everything. But yeah, so that was a nice little interesting development that we got there. Now I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but as a result of what we saw right there, as far as some of the stuff that's going to be happening next week and in the next 2 weeks, let me first set up in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks at Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager, you got the Jurassic Express. They're going to be taking on Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz. And then next week, AEW's Bash at the Beach, you've got Pac taking on Darby Allin. Chris Statlander and Sheeta will be taking on Awesome Kong and Mel. That's how they're calling her now. It's not Melanie Cruz. Now they're just calling her Mel. You've got MJF, the Butcher, and the Blade. They'll be taking on DDP, Dustin Rhodes, and QT Marshall. Now, when you stop and you think about what I just said a couple of minutes ago with regards to, you know, hey, you know, kind of looked like that was QT Marshall that was getting choked out there by Pac. And we got Gino saying, oh, that was actually Michael Nakazawa once again. You know, now you can't help but, well, damn, if that's really the case, just stop and think about that. Michael Nakazawa got owned fucking twice now by Pac, if that's the case. And Nakazawa at no time is trying to extract any type of revenge against Pac. Like, even if it's a squash match or whatever, right? So kind of messed up how they did that one. Sammy G defeated Christopher Daniels. That actually was a decent matchup. I actually had enjoyed that one. We actually had saw Pentagon Jr. interfere. He didn't really do anything either. He just popped up right when it was looking as though Daniels was up on the offense. Pentagon Jr. comes out. Hey, Hey, show me you. That's how he was talking. Show me. And Daniels is just looking at him like, the fuck? Like, oh, okay, all right. Show him what we got. Okay, show you what I got. Okay, I got you. Whatever, right? And Sammy G actually took advantage of that distraction. We saw closing moments of that one. Daniels charged after G. G side kicks him in the face. That sets him up for a side kick to the back of the head. Roll up. 1, 2, 3. Bada boom, bada bang. But here's where things really got interesting that piqued my interest here. We actually saw the Dark Order and Evil Uno come out. Now, I find it kind of nice that not at the beginning of the show, not towards the end of the show, it kind of somewhere in the middle, we get the Dark Order. But here's what I really found interesting was Evil Uno actually tried to recruit Christopher Daniels, saying, hey, you hear what these fans are saying about you. You've missed a step or two. You're not the same man that you were a couple of years ago. You're old. You don't have what it takes anymore, right? All this other stuff. And basically, it was a sales pitch for him to join the Dark Order. And I just couldn't help but go, you know what? That makes a lot of freaking sense. That would be pretty freaking badass when you just go back to Christopher Daniels. Come on. The fallen angel, right? All that shit. It just, the dark angel, as some of us refer to him as well. So it all goes back to that one period there in Daniels in his career, right? So that is a nice visual when I stop and think about it. Christopher Daniels with the Dark Order, right? But what would even be more of a cooler story with that one is if there was some type of an internal struggle with the Dark Order where you had people that kind of like, just to pull a page out of The Walking Dead, like we see what's going on with the current story arc right now where Negan has pledged his loyalty and all that to Alpha, and he wants to do everything he can to be Team Whispers, right? But just stop and think when he wanted to join, and Alpha is putting him to all of these freaking tedious tasks and trying to see, okay, you say you want to join and everything, prove yourself. And you have Beta that is making it 2 times difficult for Negan. And he doesn't like him for shit, because as far as Beta is concerned, you can't trust him, don't like him. This dude is gonna turn like a turncoat, like, he already knows what's up. But Alpha is taking what Beta is saying and is going, okay, so is it really that you think he's a turncoat, or do you think he imposes your position, right? You think he's going to overtake you or whatever, right? So it's kind of one of those type of deals. Yeah, I kind of see something like that eventually happening with the Dark Order from within. And there's basically a power struggle between Daniels and Evil Uno, right? If you wanted to go in that direction. So I actually had liked that tease that they did. Now, it kind of appeared as though that got shut down because Evil Uno gave Daniels a mask and everything, telling him to join. And just when it was looking like Daniels was getting ready to put it on, he actually stomped it on the ground and all that. Dark Order gave him a beat down, but then you saw the Young Bucks, other members of SCU, they came out. All of those cats, they had jumped the hell out of the Dark Order. Evil Uno never got in there. He was just at ringside looking on at everything that was going down, and he just gingerly walked away from everything. So, but still, you kind of look at that little element there that I had mentioned, and now that you kind of stop and think about it, and you've been following your Walking Dead, you're kind of going, actually, really wouldn't be that bad of an angle if that's something that you wanted to do long-term wise and everything. And at least with a guy like Daniels being involved with the Dark Order, it would make things more interesting to the point you would want to watch it more and everything out of curiosity, right? So I will say this, I find it interesting that the Young Bucks and everybody was just doing what they were doing. I know some people will maybe want to look at that particular segment and look at it as a form of a burial of the Dark Order. I wouldn't be so quick to hit the brakes so fast and say what we saw tonight was a burial. I think when it's all said and done, whatever the plan is around the Dark Order, concerning the Dark Order, I think the Young Bucks are still going to be staying the course, because word is everything that's going on with the tag division, with the Dark Order, Evil Uno, good friends with the Bucks and everything. This is all the Bucks doing. This is all of their crafting and everything. I still kind of feel as though they're still staying the course that they're staying with the Dark Order particularly, but it's just a bit of a scenic route that they're going to be doing, right? When it's all said and done. Lucha Brothers took on the Rhodes Brothers. Rhodes Brothers coming out of that with the victory. It was a pretty decent tag team matchup. You know, now I'm a little bit surprised that at some point during this match, to keep the consistency going, very surprised we didn't see Christopher Daniels come out there and say to Pentagon, hey, show me something, huh? Show me something. Show me what you can do. Hey, show me. Right? Come on, keep the consistency going there, AEW. Come on now. But yeah, Rhodes Brothers, they picked up the win. Post-match, Tony Schiavone interviewed Cody. Hey, all the stipulations MJF had put out there, you accept the terms? Are you going to be doing this match with him or what? What's going on? Right when Cody was about to give us the answer, his manager / advisor, Arn Anderson, Double A, grabbed the microphone and said, hey, I don't know what's going on with this MJF dude. I don't know who died and made him God, right? But he put a lot out there last week. And at this point, me and Cody, we're going to take the rest of the week. We're going to think about it, and we will get back to you all then. So that's pretty much where things had ended. After a commercial break, MJF came out. And he called out Cody Rhodes. Didn't get Cody Rhodes, but he did get Diamond Dallas Page. I was glad when this was over. And look, I love Diamond. I do. I'm a big fan of Diamond Dallas Page. I've been a supporter of his for many years. I love everything that he's been doing with DDP Yoga. Some of you newer listeners may not know, but the veteran listeners will remember we actually had Diamond Dallas Page on the show a couple of years back, and it was awesome. I think we interviewed him. I'm trying to think of the time when we interviewed him. I believe we interviewed him, if not right when he got announced for the Hall of Fame ceremony or Hall of Fame induction. It might have been after he got inducted, but I do remember we were talking to him and finding out how Jake was doing in his recovery, how Scott Hall was doing, and it was cool. We must have had some side chatter for about 10 minutes before we actually had sat down and did the interview, and then we talked for like about 5 minutes afterwards off air, and great fucking dude. But the fucking plugging every goddamn 10 fucking seconds, man, that was too much for me. I actually have fast forwarded a bit to the point I did something I didn't normally do otherwise. I would actually have one of the shows recording, and I would normally watch on my tablet while the show that's on the big TV would just play throughout. But my app was not working. It did an update, and now, like, every time I try to open up the app, I couldn't get the other channel to stream, so it freaking sucks. So what I actually ended up doing, I paused and then flipped back, and I just kept flip, doing it like that. When you have Verizon Fios, you can do that. You can actually pause live TV, watch another channel. Okay, all right, cool. Pause that, and then channel back to the last channel you were on. That's still paused. Resume. Fast forward the commercials if you want, right? And then rinse, repeat. Just pretty much do it like that. So that's actually what I ended up doing tonight. And I just kept fast forwarding through DDP stuff. DDP plugging the DDP Yoga. DDP plugging AEW. DDP plugging freaking himself on Instagram and Twitter and all this other shit. I just... Yeah, nah, man, I'm not feeling that. Cut to the chase already. He gets a beat down when it was all said and done. MJF, Warlow, they beat him up. Butcher, Blade, they actually jumped him too a little bit there. We saw Dustin. Now this is where it got kind of weird because they actually had went to a commercial break, but they did a split screen if I'm not mistaken. And I think as they were getting ready to go to the split screen, Dustin and who was the other guy? I think it was Dustin and QT Marshall. They had came out, and that actually had made MJF and Warlow kind of take a step back and, okay, all right, odds are kind of balanced out, whatever. So now, when you rewind it back a few minutes ago, when I had mentioned that next week we're going to be seeing QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes, DDP taking on the Blade, the Butcher, MJF. Now it makes sense to you guys how that all had came about. And we got another match, Jurassic Express. They had defeated the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. Trying to see if there was one more match, because at this point I was starting to get ready for the show. And let me actually see if there was one more match, because I kind of feel like maybe there was one more match, because this match was definitely on during... No, there was not another match. This was your main event match, basically. Good match. Good match there. Your main attraction of the evening was about Jon Moxley and his decision whether or not he was going to be joining the Inner Circle. And Chris Jericho and crew, they had a nice tight ass spread laid out for him and everything. You heard about the expensive car that they had for the man and everything. It was funny too because Jericho earlier in the night had said that what all the members of the Inner Circle had did, they put all their money together and they got him this car, and the car had costed $2 million. So you're going, okay, nice. And you see the car that Jericho's pushing. You're going, yeah, that is fucking badass. Yeah, who wouldn't want to push that sweet ass ride? So Moxley comes out there and it's looking as though he is getting ready to shoot down the offer. But then he stuns everybody by saying, yes, one of the main reasons why I came to the AEW is because, I want everything. I want everything coming to me. I want the power. I want blah, 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 all this other shit. And that was funny. He reveals the Inner Circle shirt and everything, and he's celebrating, having the bubbly with the boys. I was loving all of that. They played that segment out beautifully. You couldn't do it any better. To see Moxley celebrating with them, stunned ass crowd. And here's where they kind of messed up, because as you're watching this in real time, you're going, well, wait a minute here. It's about 9:55. Yeah, they're not going to go off that goddamn early. Okay, so is somebody going to come out? And is somebody going to try to maybe talk Moxley out of this decision that he's made, and that person gets a beat down by the Inner Circle? Where are we going with this? Because it's the 55-minute mark. You got 5 minutes to go. This is way too early. What are we doing here? And at that point, it felt like there was stalling that was going on, because, okay, if Moxley has joined, then you just ended with them celebrating, and you cut to Shivani and Jim Ross. Folks, very shocked, given everything that we've known about Moxley and his career and everything, and the personal conversations had with him, leading up to him being in AEW and everything. Very shocked he would make this move, but wow, talk about 2020 kicking off with a bang here. And the fact that they didn't cut back to the commentators, and the fact that they just kept keeping the cameras on the guys as they were celebrating, you just kind of knew, all right, we're getting a swerve here. So let's see how this plays out. And they played the swerve beautifully. To see Moxley wait particularly until Sammy Guevara and Jack Hager leave the ring, and they're kind of playing up to the crowd and everything. And I don't know, I guess maybe they were kind of making their way up to the ramp. Who knows what the hell they were doing. But Moxley made sure he got those keys to that car put in his hand. He's got the title and everything. And then he says to Jericho, I changed my mind. I never wanted to join your silly ass little club. I think your club is stupid. And then hits him with the dirty deeds, plants the hell out of Gravea, rolls out of there before Hager can even get his hands on him and everything. And that alone, that little thing alone that they did there with Hager, keeping the two of them separate and everything, that was perfect. You couldn't do that any better. That was fucking perfect. So yeah, I like that swerve. That was a good swerve. Brought the crowd right back into it and everything. Ending your Dynamite like that. That was solid. I actually had enjoyed that. Just kind of looking at the overall card here as far as any other criticisms that maybe I might have or whatnot. I really don't have anything. I even like the fact that we had saw Big Swole, Sunny Kiss, Sheeta. I like the fact that all of them had tried to help out Chris Statlander and Rio when we had saw Melanie Cruz, Luther, and who's the other one? Brandy, Kong. I liked all of that, how that had played out and everything. Like seeing their little cameos. That was great. No, it was a decent episode. It was actually a decent episode of AEW that they had did tonight. I would have to say, production standpoint, didn't really notice any audio issues whatsoever. I don't think there was any. If there was any issues, I didn't notice them. And I will say I was going back and forth. That much that I will say. So yeah, they did pretty good. I mean, for me personally, it's not about, and you should know the trend by now. When I'm talking about AEW and NXT, it's never about choosing sides, right? Because that would just be so one-sided. I mean, if we're going to be that one-sided, then we don't need to be doing these type of shows. We could just pick a show and stick to talking about just that show. And, you know, you all among yourselves that watch both shows, that's up to you all to decide, you know, which show had it better and everything like that. But I hate going in that direction, but I will admit when, okay, this was strong this week. Well, this was weak because of these reasons. I will say it from that standpoint, but what they did tonight was good. It was good. I definitely got to give it up to them. Meanwhile, NXT, let's go. NXT, they had some decent matches there. Round one of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament. Get to some of those matches in a hot second. Your NXT show had kicked off with Rhea Ripley, still on cloud nine after winning the NXT Women's Championship. She didn't get to celebrate that long and acknowledge the crowd that long because Toni Storm actually had came out. Toni Storm reminding her, hey, remember down there in NXT UK, we fought you twice, and I won both times. One of those times, I took away that NXT UK Championship. Remember that? Well, I want to keep that streak going. How about you and me face off? You put that championship on the line, because let me tell you something. When I go into, NXT UK Blackpool 2, the takeover there, it's going down this weekend. If I do end up watching it, that will be a Patreon exclusive. I can tell you guys that right now. So for those of you that are the NXT UK fans and you're wondering if, and I'm kind of leaning, it's a 70% right now. And not usually when I say 70%, it's pretty strong. So 70% right now, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be an NXT UK takeover post show, but it's only going to be for our Patreon family. So if you want to join our Patreon family, do sign up. I'll give you some more information on that later on. And yeah, so Toni Storm, she's going to be going into that. As you know, she's going to be facing Kylie Ray, and that's going to be for the NXT UK women's title. If she ends up on top, she had a simple solution in regards to facing Rhea Ripley, which was at Worlds Collide. It's basically champion versus champion. Both titles are on the line. So Rhea Ripley, she gave Toni Storm that nod. Hey, like the sound of that? 2 belts? Yeah, okay, bring it. But then we see Kaylee Ray, the current UK champion, come out. Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae. All of these girls coming out. Big old brawl. William Regal ended up doing a 6-woman tag team match. So Rhea, Candice, Storm took on and defeated Kaylee Ray, Bianca Belair, Io Shirai. Good opener. But then you go into another tag team match. Some people might have frowned at this, but I mean, come on, not for nothing. We knew that they were going to be doing the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament this week and everything. We got our first Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament match, UK's Imperium, being represented by Marcel Portel and Fabian Achner. They had defeated the Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. Remember there, with regards to Imperium, freaking Marcel and Fabian, they were pretty close there last year. Last year they were in the finals there. Damn good, strong outing. So I think they might be my favorites once again this year. I'll have to wait and see. But, you know, one thing about these Dusty tournaments here, especially this one, this particular one. So what's going to happen this go round? Because you've got both Rhodes brothers in AEW now. So is this just going to be a case where, you know, we're going to see, right? And even Brandy, you know, you don't even have access to Brandy. So is this going to be a case where we're going to see the wife of, you know, the great Dusty Rhodes and, you know, the rest of the surviving family members not associated at all with the WWE or AEW, right? As far as an on-screen appearance go or whatever. Is that going to be a case where they're going to be there to present the trophy on hand? How exactly are they going to be doing that? Exactly. I'm most curious. I'm most curious how they're going to be doing that. I mean, come on, let's be honest. No way in hell. Although it would be really classy, it would be cool as hell, but there's no way in hell we are going to see Dustin and Cody. There's just no way. I personally would love to see something like that happen, because for me, that would just be that sign of validity that, hey man, this is not about a war. It's not about starting a war. You know, it's not about having a dick measuring contest. It's sincerely, you know, just about good, friendly competition. At the end of the day, we all are still one big wrestling family and everything. You know, it would be really cool, but you come on. You know that shit ain't happening. It'd be nice though, right? Cue that Ozzy Osbourne song Dreamer. Let's see what we got here next. Austin Theory taking on Jaquan Wild. I had no idea that was DJ Z, aka Zima Ion. It was so funny too, because when he came out, I'm looking at his entrance and I'm going, that is the most stupidest fucking entrance I've ever seen. What's going on with this guy? As I'm saying that, I actually paused the TV and I'm showing my girl, I'm going, look at this dude. He looks like a dumbass. And she goes, the hell is he wearing? I'm like, I don't know, but this is the type of shit that makes me change the channel and, you know, go look at something else. And that's what I did. I flipped it to AEW, and then once that respected segment was over, I flipped back, and as I fast forwarded, I say, hey, he looks kind of familiar. Now that I'm seeing him without the shades and all that other silliness, the silver jacket and all that, and I go, hey, he looks kind of familiar. Let it play in real time. Oh shit, it's DJ Z. And I actually rewinded it back so I could watch it in its entirety. And I actually like DJ Z. I'm sorry I had knocked the outfit there. I really am. I feel really bad now that I had said that, but I still love the dude, and it's man, he's really matured. I got to tell you, he's really matured. He is really growing out. He's really starting to fill out. He's got some nice wide shoulders. He's starting to get a little bit of a neck. Everything about him, he's really starting to become really well built. I'm liking that about him. I'm telling you, he's changed drastically since last I had saw him. Changed drastically. I felt bad that he was at the receiving end of the defeat here by Austin Theory, but I mean, come on now, for everything that Austin Theory has been doing prior to coming on up here in NXT, I mean, come on, this is, and it feels, you can legitimately feel that this is the current pet project right now, as far as, all right, your eyes need to be on this person because this is the guy that's going to be getting his comeuppings in NXT and possibly hitting on up to the main roster, like without a shadow of doubt next. All eyes on this guy. That's just how it feels right now. It's just sad that DJZ, aka Jaquan Wild, had to be sacrificed to him. I actually would have preferred it if maybe it could have been a case where he faced anybody else but him. There was a couple other matches that had went down, but at this point I was really focused on AEW here. But I did kind of see a little bit of the rest of what went down here. For me, the match of the night for NXT, I got to give it up to the Dustin Rhodes Tag Team Classic. It was Gallus versus the Undisputed Era. That was badass. I actually had enjoyed that one. A little short. That one, I wouldn't have minded if that match had went about maybe 16 to 18 minutes long. Actually was a really damn good matchup. Adam Cole interfered in that one in the final seconds of that one, setting up the high-low for his boys there, Kylie O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, and that essentially gave Undisputed Era the victory to advance further into the tournament. From there, we get a recap of Johnny Gargano's return and the attack on Finn Balor that was shown. We then get a video package that aired hyping up Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. We see Johnny Gargano. He came out to cut a promo. He was talking about Finn Balor costing him at TakeOver, and talking about how Finn's past is his future, and it's him because he couldn't get the job done the first time, and he actually calls out Finn for saying he's a flag bearer for NXT, yet heading to the main roster with glee. Well, Johnny Gargano had remained down there in NXT, had his opportunity to come up the main roster, but turned his back a few times. And he was mocking the hell out of Finn Balor. It was a really good, solid promo. Balor did end up coming out. He pretty much had said that he should be the Johnny promo because that's all he's been cleared for, basically, right? Like that's all he is. Like you can't come out here, you can't wrestle, you can't do shit. We just need to call you Johnny promo because that's all you're about right now. So Finn Balor, very cocky, very arrogant, pointing his fingers at him, pretty much letting him know, I got your number, dude. Like, seriously, you don't want none of this. Kaden Carter lost to Mia Yim. This was essentially a squash match. Really nothing to talk about here. Went about 3 minutes and some change. Really nothing here. Post matches where things really got interesting, though, because Mia Yim had tried to show a little bit of kind sportsmanship, but it got interrupted by the arrival of one Chelsea Green. God damn, I love me some Chelsea Green. Yeah, I know. Previous years, I couldn't stand her, and we've already dived into that a couple of weeks ago. You got to check out the show. I think from 2 weeks ago it was when we saw her take on Charlotte Flair. And then I know after that, and that was on Raw, you're going to kick things off, way to kick it off. And then afterwards, she had a match against Sarah Logan on Main Event. And now we see her in NXT. So, I mean, she is just bouncing around there. I guess it's safe to say the new home is going to be NXT, at least for the time being. And I'm actually okay with that. And all right, first program, we got her going up against someone of the likes of Mia Yim. Okay, cool. Let's see what goes down there. But yeah, that wasn't the only surprise. Let me actually keep going with this one because this was really badass. What had happened. So yeah, Chelsea Green had came out and she ended up hitting Carter from behind, knocks Yim outside. On the ramp, we see a guy in the suit. Like, who the hell is that guy? And his name is Robert Stone or Robert Stone Brand, and says that he will take over NXT, starting with the hottest free agent signing, Chelsea Green. And if you don't recognize Robert Stone Brand, you should recognize who that is. That is AKA Robbie E. For you Impact Wrestling fans, I know he really had made quite a good name for himself with the Why It Ended podcast, and sadly that had met a premature end and all that, and we kind of understand a little bit why in retrospect and everything. So now we kind of see what's going on with him. I like this thing that we're seeing going on with him. So my only question is, with this current gimmick, is he delegated to just NXT, or is this a case where we're eventually going to be seeing him throughout the other shows as well? Because if that's what he's going to be doing, and it's all about him signing people and making a really good brand out of them and everything, then why not have him go across the other shows as well? And as far as when it is time to see him wrestle, maybe you could just make a vast majority of it be down in NXT. Would kind of make a little bit of sense. Something to kind of play around with there. Let's keep going though. See. We saw a Dijakovic backstage segment. Basically, he was saying, feast your eyes on the next North American champion, because all of this was basically setting up our main event match of the night, which was the NXT North American number one contenders match. It was Cameron Grimes taking on Damian Priest, taking on Dijakovic and Keith Lee. Keep in mind, next week we get a NXT Women's Battle Royal that will be held to determine Rhea Ripley's opponent in Portland. Keep that in mind. Again, your main event match, it was a North American number one contenders match. Cameron Grimes taking on Damian Priest, Dijakovic, and Keith Lee. Match went about 15 minutes long. Closing moments of this matchup, we had saw Priest hit Lee with the Reckoning, only for Dijakovic to break up the pin with his big boot. Saw some shots inside the ring traded by Priest and Dijakovic. From there, Keith had returned, chokeslammed them both. Cameron Grimes blows everyone away by catching Lee with the moonsault slam. That got him a near fall. That actually was a really good spot there. He keeps Priest at bay and then moonsaults him outside the ring. Drops Dijakovic with cave-in on the apron. Grimes goes up, but has his chest caved in by Lee. Spirit Bomb connects later. That gives Keith Lee the W. So Keith Lee, your number one contender there for the shot at the North American Championship. That Keith Lee, man, that dude is coming along. I'm telling you, and it's really nice to see by the week how many more and more people are latched on to Keith Lee, and they're riding that wave out and everything. And, you know, it really, really mirrors when you stop and think about it. I can't remember the interview where I had saw it, but there was an interview from about maybe, feels like almost 3 weeks ago, that Stephanie McMahon had gave, where she was asked, what are the stars that wrestling fans should be looking at? You know, who's the stars that you think fans should be paying attention to in the next couple of months to 2020, or just next 2 to 3 years? And Keith Lee was one of the first people that she mentioned and everything. And I'm telling you, man, this dude, man, he keeps it up. I'm telling you, he's going to be a multi-time World Heavyweight Champion. I know we had a lot of people that were greatly disappointed with the Kofi Kingston run and everything. If Keith Lee can continue the momentum that he has had successfully in NXT so far to a Raw or SmackDown, man, that stuff that went down with Kofi Kingston, that's just going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be like, Kofi who? Yeah, he had the title, but yeah, man, Keith Lee, man, that dude's legit, right? People would be more tripping over a Keith Lee run, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do with that North American championship run, man. I'm very, very excited. But, you know, once again, man, here I am. I'm in this position, and I tremendously miss Velveteen Dream. Shit, what is going on with my man Velveteen Dream? I miss him. But yeah, NXT, They did pretty good as well. They did pretty good as well. Now, as far as the ratings go, because this is the thing, and I thought it was so juvenile how last week AEW fans were going, yeah, AEW kicked ass this week. And yeah, but they didn't have direct competition because essentially NXT was a year-end award show. Try again. So this is the first official week in January where both shows were back with original programming going head to head. That's the key thing that you want to home in on. I know AEW was new, essentially last week, but this is the first official week of the new calendar year that both shows were facing each other head to head with new original programming. So kind of keeping that in mind, I'm going to say I don't know the ratings from the last time they went head to head. Somebody would have to post that in the comment section, but I'm going to say that ratings, I'll say NXT gets about 736,000, and I'll say AEW gets 715,000. So again, NXT, I'm thinking 736,000. AEW, I'm thinking 715,000. So we'll see how that comes about. All right, so we got some wrestling headlines we're going to get into. And real quick, though, I do want to recognize some of our sponsors. We'll get into some Patreon shout-outs in a hot second. Let me see how we're doing on Showtime here. Oh, we're doing fantastic. We got about an hour and 16 minutes here into the show. We only got a couple more topics we're going to get into. And I think at this point, we're probably going to do like about 90 minutes. Because since we were last on the air Monday, there really hasn't been that much that's transpired. So, yeah, this feels like it's probably going to be about a 90-minute show. And that's good. 90, 95 minutes, give or take. But let's get into some sponsor shout-outs. Love my sponsors, man. These guys rock and roll. Without these guys, man, content like what you're checking out right now, it would not be made possible. So definitely love these sponsors. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Leafy Legal Services. If you are a real estate investor or an entrepreneur and you need help with your respective business, trying to build assets, good investable assets and everything, hit up Leafy Legal Services. They can definitely help you out with that. Check them out. Head over to their website at leafyassets.com. Once again, if you're a real estate investor or entrepreneur, Leafy Legal Assets can help protect your assets and strategically grow your business successfully with great wealth. Check them out, leafyassets.com. The RCWR show with Lee Sanders is also brought to you in part by WatchShopUs.com, offering the very best top-of-the-line brands and watches, jewelry, rings, and more for him and her. I know some of you guys, you're saying, Lee, brother, I just got done with freaking Christmas. I know, but Valentine's is right around the corner. Some of us have anniversaries. I've got my own anniversary with the missus that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks that I got to get ready for and everything. So having somebody like WatchShopUs.com, that's great freaking timing. And for a limited time, they actually can save you up to 20% off on your order. So go check them out, WatchShopUs.com. No cheap stuff. I'm talking the very best, top of the line brands at great prices. No counterfeit bullshit. None of that is going on. Check them out, WatchShopUs.com. We're also brought to you in part by President Evil. Just days before the November midterm elections, Three young girls are stalked by a deranged killer dressed as the President of the United States. Check out the trailer and the movie on Amazon.com. We are also brought to you in part by who else we got here? I can't almost forget about my man there, Screaming Bulls 1, who is a fantastic wrestling sculptor. If you need custom figures, bust made, hit him up. He is on Twitter at Screaming Bulls 1. Once again, on Twitter at Screaming Bulls 1. I gotta check in with him and see how his website is going, because he said he was going to be putting the final touches on his website. Last I had checked in with him, nothing was built just yet, I don't believe. So I got to check in with him, because he said he was going to do his best to have everything launch the first couple of weeks in January. So I definitely want to see where he is right now with that, see if he's made any more progress, because I know there's some of you guys out there that do not do the Twitter. So I will see what's going on with that. And if you guys have Facebook, I'll actually even try to see if he has Facebook as well. We'll get into some Patreon shout outs a little bit later on. But once again, thank you to all of our sponsors for this episode. So, got some interesting wrestling news, not really too much, but a big signing was revealed. Now, this is secondhand information, so you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt until WWE officially puts out the statement. But the news that's coming, and it seems that the news that's come about is pretty valid, as the people that broke this news, they have a very reputable and respected reputation when it's all said and done of breaking out wrestling news. It's actually legit. 20-year wrestling veteran Mercedes Martinez has signed with the WWE. And if you guys were fans of the Mae Young Classic, maybe that might have been the first time you came across her work and you were very impressed. You ended up becoming a fan of hers as a result, and you went on back and checked out some of the other stuff that she had did from years prior. Then you know what she's about. For you veteran fans that already know the story of Mercedes Martinez, you're going, it's about goddamn time, right? And I tell you, everybody that was reacting to this news earlier today, everybody had nothing but compliments to say. Everybody was just so pro. Yes, this is great news. Awesome. I even chimed in. I am paraphrasing here, but if you follow the Twitter and the Facebook accounts, I basically had said something along the lines of, this is a 20-year veteran that brings a lot of in-ring experience, that brings leadership, but most importantly, brings character in and outside of the ring. This is exactly the type of woman you want to have working for your wrestling promotion, any wrestling promotion. It doesn't matter if you're AEW or New Japan, if you're one of the major ones, to have this woman not be working for your promotion and you've got the money to spend for a good, reliable hand, such as Mercedes Martinez, that can really help grow your division, that can really help brand your company. You would be a fool to not try to sign her up. And for WWE, I just find it interesting that after her association with the Mae Young Classic tournament and everything, many of us were very confident, including myself. I can remember being on this show covering the past two Mae Youngs, saying, she's got to get signed. Like, what the hell? And WWE, for whatever respective reason, things did not match up and nothing had went down. So for her to get signed, assuming that the reports are legit, and like I said, the people that are reporting this, they're usually pretty reputable. Okay, so you can't help but be excited for her. I know we got some people that are jumping out there saying, well, she needs to stay on NXT because she's kind of old, and please, that's the last thing you should be saying. And look, this isn't coming from somebody that is biased, right? I'm being totally unbiased here. Age has nothing to do if you follow your sports, you see what LeBron James is continuing successfully to be able to do in the league. You see what Tom Brady has been able to do. And we talked about Tom Brady the other night. We talked about how, yeah, on the one hand, his skills, it is diminishing a little bit, but then on the other hand, the old line that he had, let's be honest, it really wasn't the best, right? It wasn't the best that he's been accustomed to over the years, right? But, you see, I mean, there's other examples. You could go with an Andre Agassi. Excuse me. You can even go with a Chris Jericho, or, just go down the list. There are individuals that can go out there and can still perform on a high level. So this whole thing about age, I'm not trying to hear any of that. And anybody that is a real fan of wrestling, that pays attention to wrestling from all promotions, and has been keeping tabs on what Mercedes Martinez has been doing, you know that girl can still go out there and she can hang with the best of them. Now, eventually, are you eventually going to have to grandfather her in to the development system and maybe have her be a trainer and all of those things? Yeah, and you know what? There ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, how many people, think about that now, how many people are able to kick back and say, hey, I finally was able to fulfill my lifelong dream, and that was to get signed by the WWE. There's not that many people that could say that. And everybody that wants to go with the whole, oh, well, she needs to go to NXT because, she can't go to Raw, she can't go to SmackDown, whether it's because I actually have, I'm not going to mention the person's name because I don't want for them to feel bad or anything like that. But I had one person basically say, can't see her on the main roster. There's plenty of main roster women, ready in NXT. I'm actually reading what they had said right now. They said, yeah, don't see her on the main roster. There's plenty of main roster ready women in NXT. And to that I say, I don't know exactly what you've been watching of the WWE product, but I could present to you at least 5 people on the main WWE roster that at this point are not worthy of having that main roster spot. And again, this is totally unbiased. Totally unbiased. If you want me to name some names, hey, nothing personal. It's nothing personal. Number 1, Dana Brooke. Sorry. How many times do we have to keep repackaging this girl and, right? Sorry. Carmella. I know WWE upper brass is going to do everything they can possibly to please Corey Graves, and one of those things is by, let's make sure his woman is happy, right? Let's make sure we're tossing her a bone so we don't want to upset him, right? So, but yeah, Carmella is another one. Sarah Logan. I gotta be consistent on that ass. I was just talking about her Monday. That's another one that sadly you gotta show her the door. I got 2 more for you. I should just consider them as one package, but they actually honestly fill out slots 4 and 5. I get rid of Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. Sorry, nothing personal. Yes, they look cute, all that good stuff, but aside from that, nothing. There is nothing. I mean, come on, be realistic with yourselves. If they weren't from Australia, do you really think they would have lasted in the WWE this long? Be real with yourselves. Come on. Come on. So, those are 5 people off the top of my head that are on the main roster taking up spots in which someone like insert Chelsea Green, or you can go with a Mercedes Martinez, or you can go with a Bianca Belair, or insert. You can't help but be happy that a girl like Mercedes Martinez finally is getting this. Long overdue. It's long overdue. Now we just need to see girls like fucking LuFisto, Ivelisse Velez. I mean, that's my personal favorite right there. I have been a longtime fan of Ivelisse Velez. That's another one that we need to see get up in there and get hired. And I'm telling you, if I can see girls like Mercedes Martinez, Santana Garrett, Mia Yim get fucking hired, then man, those girls that I just mentioned, freaking Havoc, even a girl like Hazard, there's hope. There is hope just yet that these girls can get freaking hired, man. All right, keep it moving along here. A couple other headlines we can get into here on the show. We were talking about the NXT UK event that's going to be coming up, the Blackpool 2. That's going to be happening on January the 12th. Again, on January the 12th. I believe that is either a Saturday or Sunday. That's a Sunday. That's coming up this Sunday. Here's your card so far. We got Walter defending the UK Championship against Joe Coffey. Gallus will take on Imperium's Fabian Achner and Marcel Barthel against Grizzled Young Veterans and Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. It's a fatal 4-way ladder match to crown NXT UK Tag Champions. Kaylee Ray takes on Toni Storm and Piper Niven. It's a triple threat match for the NXT UK Women's title. Trent Seven takes on Eddie Dennis. And Tyler Bate takes on Jordan Devlin. So that is your card. And again, we'll be covering that on patreon.com this weekend for you guys. And also, something that we will do for everybody on Sunday going into Monday, there will be a special free-for-all edition of the RCWR show. I will be reviewing the Stone Cold Broken Skull Sessions episode with Kane. If you guys have read the reviews on Amazon, iTunes, you would have seen that the RCWR show did leave some kind words about Kane's new book. If you guys did not get an opportunity to check out that book yet, do go to your local store and check it out. Also, not for nothing, but pretty soon we're going to be doing a contest giveaway. I just haven't figured out how I'm going to go about doing it, but I think probably before this weekend is out and setting up hype for our Royal Rumble post show, we are going to be having a couple of prizes up for grabs, and the book is definitely one of those. Kane's book. It's a fun read. It's about 300 pages. I would say maybe about 300 pages. I would say probably about 200 and maybe 275, and the rest is kind of like images or whatever. But it's a great read. If you were ever a big fan of Kane, check it out. It's great shit. So yeah, that's the card for NXT TakeOver Blackpool 2, and then Royal Rumble weekend, Houston, Texas at the Toyota Center. You got the Worlds Collide event that's going to be happening. And so far, the only thing we know about that one is Imperium. All the members of Imperium, they're going to be facing all four members of the Undisputed Era. It's going to be an 8-man tag team match. That's the only thing we know so far. So I have a feeling as it gets a little bit closer, we'll have a better idea on, what's going to be going on and everything. Also, give me a second here. I got some AEW news for you guys I want to share. So as many of you guys know, or you should know by now, it had appeared that AEW was pretty close to securing a deal to perform at Madison Square Garden. However, pretty similar to what had went down with New Japan Pro Wrestling trying to do their thing at the Garden. What was that, like last year? And WWE stepped in there, and you know how all that had went down. But eventually at least we had saw a ROH New Japan Pro Wrestling collaboration at the Garden and all that. But Cody Rhodes was talking about how, yeah, he didn't take shots at WWE in a way where it was extremely direct. However, he did give a little bit of a nod to the kind people. What is it here? I believe it is. Let me look here. Let me see if I can actually put it up here because I have his quote here. I believe I have this quote. Let me see if I can pull it up. I can check my notes real quick here and I can tell you. Let me look here. Because I think they're going to be performing at the Prudential Arena, if I'm not mistaken. And if I'm incorrect, I'll need for you guys to let me know here. Yeah, I'm trying to see. I don't have it here. But yeah, I remember Cody Rhodes, he says something along the lines of, hey, thanks to the people, behind this arena, because it's nice to see that there's no intimidation factor and politics and all this other bullshit getting in the way. All we want to do is just, give you guys some awesome, fun entertainment, for your family and all that. Because Tony Khan had said in a previous interview that the company had their eyes set on performing in a historic building. And you're going, And if he was any more blunt about it, right, you would know. So you're going, okay, Madison Square Garden. Dave Meltzer actually had shed a little bit more light on what all was going on there. And he basically had said, and I quote, here's the deal. So Madison Square Garden had been pushing for other companies to come in. AAA. They pushed for Ring of Honor to come in with New Japan. Then all of a sudden, WWE tried to get it blocked. And at one point, they did get it blocked, but the Sinclair lawyers got it unblocked. They had a first day sellout, which makes the story even funnier because what happened was that WWE booked the Raw and SmackDown show in Madison Square Garden. Raw did draw 1,200,000 people. They had high ticket prices too. But SmackDown did like 7,000 people, which is really not good for Madison Square Garden at all. Then after that, I kind of heard from a couple people that AEW wanted to work Madison Square Garden, and then they announced the Prudential Center. Cody even went and said politics and all that. They wanted the Madison Square Garden. I actually have Cody Rhodes' direct quote right here. He said, "Thank you, Prudential Center, for bypassing politics and nonsense and just giving the Jersey, New York fans what they want. I can't wait." So, and as some of you guys know, that episode of Dynamite that's going to be happening in the tri-state area, it is going to be happening on Wednesday, March the 25th. Again, Wednesday, March the 25th in Newark, New Jersey, Prudential Center in the tri-state area. For those of you interested in getting tickets, tickets will be on sale noon Friday, January 24th. Eastern Standard Time. You did not miss your opportunity. So again, you want to get tickets to that. You're going to be in the area. Tickets go on sale Friday, January 24th at noon Eastern. Tickets begin at just $25. For more information, head on over to AEWTix.com. One more time, AEWTix.com. Head on over there and check that out. And other than that, let me just see real quick here. I do have some AEW. Let me see here. No, I'm just trying to see what AEW news I want to give you. I'll give you this one because I'm more interested in the Dark episode that's going to be coming up next week. But I did watch a little bit finally of AEW Dark from last week. We saw Awesome Kong. She had defeated Skylar Moore. It was a squash match. And for those of you that maybe are not familiar with Skylar Moore, when you first look at her, she kind of has a Candice LeRae, Brooke Hogan, the daughter of Hulk Hogan. She's got that kind of look going on to her when you first look at her and everything. She's got a killer body, a killer fucking body. But just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory that may not know that much about her, she actually had a WWE tryout April of last year. And she actually was a student of Bully Ray's and Devon's Team 3D Academy. So in the Florida area. So that gives you a little bit of the backdrop for her. She's worked for many little local kind of backyard wrestling promotions. One that comes to mind is Evolve. No, Elevate. Elevate. That's the promotion I'm thinking of. It's throwing me off because of the way that they spell it. When you first look at it, you're going, but then when you really kind of stop, oh, they're saying elevate. And the way they spell it is badass. It's ELEV and then the number 8, like you had a V8, right? But yeah, elevate. Isn't that cool how they spelled that wrestling promotion? That's pretty badass. She also did some stuff for the Mayhem on Mills promotions. You can easily find some of her stuff on social media and all that. And she's got the Facebook. Now, I don't want people to get confused because you'll see an Instagram joint and you'll think it's her because there's this woman that's running around and she's showing off her ass and everything, and that's not her. I can tell you that right now, because when you put them up side by side, you can tell the difference. It's not her by any means. Also, SCU had defeated THT and Kip Sabian, and that was really it. All they had was 2 matches. There was really nothing else in there that you guys had missed. I sincerely mean that. Once again, Impact Wrestling, they're going to be doing the Brash. I said Brash. I wish it was Brash. They're going to be doing the Bash at the Brewery. That's going to be going down this weekend, January 10th. That will be streaming on Impact Plus. You got OVE taking on Rich Swann, Tessa Blanchard, Willie Mack, Brian Cage. Congo Kong takes on Falabala. X Division champion Ace Austin will be taking on the Rascals Wentz. Impact Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie will be in action against Jordan Grace. Then you've got your Hard to Kill event that's going to be happening on January 12th. That's going to be a pay-per-view event, and it'll also be streaming on Fight TV. Impact champion Sami Callihan will be taking on Tessa Blanchard. Impact Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie will be in a triple threat dance for her title against Jordan Grace and ODB. Impact X Division champion Ace Austin will be taking on Trey Miguel. Impact Tag Champions The North will be facing Rich Swann and Willie Mack. RVD, Rob Van Dam, will be in action against Brian Cage. Michael Elgin will face Eddie Edwards. Moose takes on Rhino. And Ken Shamrock takes on Madman Fulton. So all of that is going to be going down this weekend. One other thing I do kind of want to touch upon real quick for you guys here. And this is some interesting news that's coming about here. You know, I hate conflicting reports. I'm old school. My whole thing is, okay, well, if it's actually the case, why not, instead of pictures, why not actually do a full 360 spin, right? This is my challenge. And I've yet to hear my colleagues say this, and I really hope that this picks up enough traction where it challenges those that's going to these wrestling events to do this, which is this. Example, this is legit. So for tonight's AEW show, you have people that are saying, well, look, this is wrestling, right? This is wrestling territory. This is wrestling country. When it's Memphis, right? Everybody knows about wrestling because, look, Memphis, right? And yet the reports are that AEW was only able to draw about 2,000, maybe about 2,500 people. And everybody's going, wow, that's nothing to be bragging about. That's nothing that's impressive. Some are like, man, that's much lower than a SmackDown show and all that other shit. And then you see these pictures, you see all these pictures where it's like a bunch of empty seats. And I've yet to see anybody show video footage. So here's the thing. When you find yourself going to a wrestling event and you're really taken back by the amount of empty seats that you are seeing, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick a particular match, preferably late into the card, right? Because what will usually happen is people will take these pictures. All right, we're in here. Hey, let's take some pictures. And they'll take pictures basically when they know damn well the show ain't going to start for another hour, 90 minutes or whatever, right? So everybody's stuffing their face at the concession stands, getting their merchandise, all that shit, right? You can't really do it in the first 30 minutes of the show. That's not really good enough, right? Because people are probably still filing in and all that. No. Wait an hour into the show. So, for instance, if you know AEW Dynamite, the show itself is going to be a 2-hour show. You get the cues when they're getting ready to do it and everything. All right. Wait about the first hour after Dynamite is in the books. Then turn on your camera, right? You shouldn't be afraid. Nowadays, you can just whip out your phone, put the camera on yourself with one button. Hey guys, this is Lee. I'm at AEW Dynamite tonight here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I gotta tell you, one thing that's jumping out to me right now, I'm looking around here, there are a lot of empty seats, but don't take my word for it. Hey, real quick, let me show you who's in the ring right now. Flip it back into the ring. So right now, we have Sammy Guevara taking on Christopher Daniels. Home in on it, zoom in. All right, guys, I'm going to zoom out, flip it back on me. Hey, guys. All right, so yeah, let me give you a 360 view of what's going on with these seats in this arena here. Pan around, just pan, just do the full 360. Hey, guys, y'all want to wave? I'm just getting ready to post this on my Twitter or my Instagram. Just do that real quick. Yeah, guys, just wanted to show you that. Well, back to the action. Bye. And then send. That's it. Every time I see these people that are doing this stupid shit with the pictures, it's laughable because it's, and I'm not saying that, you're just blind. No, I just want people to be really smart. In this day and age where it's very easy to get somebody caught up, right, with screenshots and, so you said you didn't say that. Well, no, according to the chat log here, well, all this other shit. We got so much cool, savvy ways we can get correct information we need if we feel that something isn't accurate. That why is it in 2020? Anytime you hear about empty seats this, empty seats that, you keep seeing people that just got all these fucking pictures. That's all it is just fucking pictures, and there's no video. And when you do see the videos, they're grainy as fuck. The people aren't talking, and sometimes you got people that are just trying to do their best to fucking troll. That's all I got to say about that. So that's my challenge next time. You guys that's going to these events, if you really want to report some wrestling news to whether it's your favorite wrestling podcast or your favorite wrestling website, dirt sheets or whatever, make sure your shit is accurate and you are capturing the best representation, timing and all that as far as, okay, all right, this match, okay, so I know this is part of the second hour here, or, I know we're like an hour, 15 minutes into the show. Now's a good time to start, time it just right and fucking video record. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a wrestling event and I have seen people bust out their fucking phones and they're recording themselves. They're doing little mini Facebook joints and all that other shit, talking to their followers and all that shit, and taking pictures most importantly. And I don't know. Somebody need to explain that to me, why every single time, especially in 2020, I know 2020 just began, but come on. We're already kicking it off on the wrong foot with people doing the whole thing with the snap. That's all they're doing. Snap, 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 snap. All right, so let me get into some Patreon shout outs real quick. By the way, I know New Japan, they did Wrestle Kingdom 14. I did not watch any of that. I did not watch any of that. If I hear a really good Wrestle Kingdom 14 recap, I will let you know, and I will gladly, if you're following me on social media, I will gladly, you know, I got my friends in the circle, so I will definitely let you know who to go check out for the Wrestle Kingdom 14 review. But I sadly did not check that out. I know from time to time I get asked, are you going to check this out? Are you going to get it? My mind right now is on wedding. I'm in like wedding mode right now. So, the more time I spend covering this wrestling promotion and this wrestling promotion and then this one, it kind of takes away from what I'm trying to do with the wedding. I think once the wedding is in the books and things have kind of quieted down a little bit, will I kind of be able to really go full throttle like I normally do. So I appreciate you guys' patience. I got a couple more months. Weddings in May, and I am getting so stressed out. Yeah. Get into some Patreon shout outs here before we get ready to wrap it up. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out awesome bonus content. Great majority you won't be able to find anywhere else. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Definitely want to take this time out and recognize good, kind-hearted people, man. Shout out to Justin Ripstock, Sean Kenter, John Krauser, Tony Being Gaming. Check him out. You want the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Marvel Super Wars, tips, news, reviews, tricks, all that jazz. Tony Being Gaming, great YouTube channel. He also has a great Patreon page as well. Check him out. Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, and my good friend, my brother in arms, Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. Shout out to all of you guys. Love you guys. Tremendous. Oh my God. Hey. Can't forget about my man, Freddie. I can't believe he almost slipped through the cracks there. Shout out to Freddie R. Freddie. Shout out to Freddie. All right. Much love to all our Patreon members. All right. So at this point, what we got programming wise, it goes down like this. All right, so Saturday, or is it Sunday? It's Sunday. Sunday, they're going to be doing the NXT Blackpool UK event. Patreon members, you'll get an audio version of that. That'll be available for you guys to check out. And then Sunday going into Monday, I think that really depends on how my schedule is looking. If I have any type of a work conflict with Monday, because on the one hand, I'm hearing that our office may actually be closed on Monday. I'm not really sure. If the office is closed on Monday, I got no problem doing the Steve Austin Kane recap for you guys, my review of it. But if I do have work next Monday, then I'll just recap it on the Monday show after Raw. That's pretty much how we'll do it, right? Because I know normally when it comes to those takeover events, usually those takeover events are pretty short. They're usually about 2 hours, give or take, maybe 2 hours, 15 minutes. Steve Austin's show has run about maybe an hour, with the exception of the Undertaker joint. That went a little bit longer. So I don't know. We'll play it by ear, but if you're following me on social media, you'll know what's going on. Also, while I'm talking about social media, give me a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. You can also join our Discord page as well, as in between the shows, I'm interacting with you guys, talking all things wrestling, non-wrestling stuff. Because there's only but so much wrestling you can talk about. You eventually got to talk about real life shit, right? So it's nice interacting. It's continuing to grow too, man. I mean, at this point, we got about I think we've got almost 40 people that's in our Discord. So it's nice to see it grow. We got some really nice, cool people that's in there. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that checked out the show live. Also, shout out to those of you that's going to be checking out the show on demand and on the downloads. And until next go round, I'm wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Adios.